Jrue Holiday has been a key part to this Boston Celtics success this season, being a defensive anchor and guy that the Celtics want to lock up long term. In an article from a Bleacher Report, we're going to be diving in, looking at a key thing that the Celtics need to do in keeping him in Boston. Also, Payton Pritchard has had fantastic performances recently, and in last night's game, he was fueled by Patrick Beverley's remarks. We're going to be diving into that as well. All of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. But before we get in on any of this Boston Celtics news, we have 73% of our people that watch our videos aren't subscribed, and would appreciate if you guys hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy Boston Celtics content, this is the place for you. We just did a live stream yesterday, and if you enjoy other Boston Celtics stuff, check out our description down below to find out our Twitter and to find out our Discord. Without further ado, let's dive in. Let's get into this video. First topic at hand today is the Jrue Holiday extension. And like I mentioned in the introduction, the Boston Celtics want to get an extension done with Jrue Holiday, and he wants to stay in Boston as well. I'm going to dive in looking at this article from Dan Faval, who says a goals for every NBA team down the stretch. And for the Boston Celtics, their goal is to get a Jrue Holiday extension done. Now, obviously, this is a key piece to the Celtics core this year, coming in from, Portland after the whole Dame saga getting traded away. And that was a big thing, as obviously the Bucks didn't expect him to land in Boston into a key contender like us. And he's been flourishing with this Boston Celtics team. If we want to look at Jrue Holiday's stats, we can see he's averaging 12.8 points, 5.4 total rebounds, 4.9 assists on 49% shooting from the field, 45% shooting from three, and 83% shooting from the free throw. Absolutely fantastic. As you can see, that three-point number is up. He is one of the best three-point corner shooters in the NBA, shooting it at around a 65% of a clip, and he's taken a huge sacrifice on the offensive side of the ball for the Boston Celtics, and it's contributed fantastically. We haven't really seen him in the last couple of games, unfortunately, as he's been out, but him getting some rest and getting some key rest while the Celtics are playing some bad teams is fantastic, because then when he's ready for the playoffs, he is going to be on fire, being that fourth, fifth option for the Celtics on the offensive side, but being an absolutely fantastic defender. I really loved Marcus Smart. He was one of my favorite Boston Celtics on this team that grew up with the Boston Celtics. But for the team, he needed to go, and Jrue Holiday has been a fantastic replacement for him. He's basically the same thing as Marcus Smart on the defensive side of the ball, but isn't jacking up as many of those threes, and when he is taking those threes, he's hitting them at a more efficient clip. But like I mentioned from this article, from getting a Jrue Holiday extension done, he says that spotlighting the Celtics' sometimes sticky crunch time offense in a fair game, they are hovering around the bottom 10 points of scored per possession during the final 3 minutes of one-possession games in which they are tied or hold the lead. They rank 26th in efficiency under these same parameters in the final minute, with some sample sketches are subject to wild swings. And the Celtics have a top 8 offense to go along with a 19-10 record overall in basic clutch time. They're not undergoing any wholesale functional shifts after steamrolling most of the league for 5+ months. A Jrue Holiday extension is more pressing. Though he's not technically eligible for one now, April 1st will mark 6 months since he's been traded to Boston, allowing him to sign a longer-term deal, and the Celtics should be uniquely motivated to get an agreement done. For one thing, they don't have the financial flexibility to begin replacing the 33-year-old if he does decline the $40.2 million player option and leaves in free agency. Equally important, extending him on a deal that gets him to decline the option and sign for a smaller annual number over the longer term softens next season's second apron and tractability. They seems to have something of a similar face. Does it really matter if Holiday shaves $10 million off his average annual value when they won't allow Boston to duck into the second apron? Next season, not so much. But having his number beyond this year locked in lets the front office plan a concrete cap sheet. There's true value in that, and even more, a vast and simply guaranteeing Holiday stays put. So he thinks that Holiday is going to stay put in Boston. I think so as well. He's already come out and said before he got traded from the Milwaukee Bucks that he wants to stay and retire on his next contract, and he really does like Boston. I also think that he's going to decline the option of the $40 million next season and take a little bit of a pay cut to help Boston save into that second apron. Kristaps Porzingis did something a little bit similar, obviously signing an extension for $30 million when he's making $37 million this year. So I do believe that Jrue Holiday take a little bit of a pay cut instead of making around 39 million or 40.2 million, he's going to be making around 30. And I think Derrick White's going to get around a similar extension as well. So the Boston Celtics will be able to retain all 5 of their starting guys and be able to keep pushing, even if they do come out victorious with a chip this year, or if not, still have a great starting 5 intact for seasons to come. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you guys want to extend Jrue Holiday? Obviously, I do, and I think everybody does want him extended here in Boston. But what would be your guys' contract range for him? I think around 2-3 years at $30 million is a very good deal for him per year. So 2 years, $60 million, or 3 years, $90 million. Let me know what you guys think down below. The next topic that we're going to be diving in, though, is Payton Pritchard fired up, and he is absolutely been on a tear for this Boston Celtics squad. Like I mentioned, he has been on fire. In our last video, we broke down how he heated up in last night's game versus the Milwaukee Bucks, absolutely torching them from the defensive side. And he wasn't just, hitting some shots from 3-point range or doing a catch and shoot. He was, dribbling through his legs, getting people on skates, able to hit step back threes, and able to attack at the rim as well. But not also that, getting fantastic rebounds against Brook Lopez, going for offensive rebounds, and giving it his all on the defensive side of the floor. Like we mentioned, though, he was fired up last night, and that was because all of Patrick Beverley. Payton Pritchard did not like that Patrick Beverley's too small gesture to Luke Kornet, saying, "I feel like he was just trying to clown one of our teammates." So I definitely took it a little personal, and he definitely went off. If we want to look at Payton Pritchard's game from last night, you guys can see 31 minutes, 19 points, 7 for 11 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3 with 6 rebounds and 3 assists. You want to look at his last games recently as well. 23 points in the versus the Pistons, which was a very quiet 23 points in the game in which he started. Also finished with 7 assists. Versus the Wizards the night before, 14 points with 13 assists. Absolutely a fantastic game there. Versus the Suns, not the greatest game, but versus the Jazz and Blazers, had a decent game as well. The Blazers was his first start of the year, and he almost put up a triple-double. 11 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. Like I mentioned, he's been on a tear, and it's not like he's just been only doing great things on the offensive side of the ball. He's also showing great qualities on the defensive side, which is huge to see out of a guy in Payton Pritchard, because a lot of people have been hating on Payton Pritchard, saying he's a defensive liability. He might not be the greatest guy on the defensive side, but as you can see, fighting for offensive rebounds, being in the right position to even get rebounds at the first place as a 6'1 or 6'2 guard is absolutely fantastic. And he's just a great playmaker as well. We've seen with Sam Hauser, not in the recent games because obviously Sam's been hurt, but like we mentioned, 13 assists on that game that Sam Hauser had 10 threes, or that Payton Pritchard was diming him up that game. So like I mentioned, Payton Pritchard has had all these fantastic qualities. I think he's going to be a fantastic player for the Celtics bench going into the playoffs. And if, like I mentioned, he can keep this hot streak going. He had a fantastic streak at the preseason. Let's not forget, he was dropping 25, 30-point games in the preseason. And I know it's preseason, but if we can see him turn up like that now towards the end of the season when the Celtics get a lot of their players on rest, like we'll see tomorrow with the hospital Celtics playing versus the Pistons, it's going to be great to see him cook up in the playoffs. Last thing we're going to be mentioning, like we've been starting and doing at all of these videos, we have comment of the day. Like I mentioned, if you guys want to get featured on this, leave a comment down below on any of these topics. We can talk about Payton Pritchard being fired up and having a fantastic hot streak. Talk about Jrue Holiday and his extension. We have a fantastic comment here from my boy J Ward 8237, one of our great subscribers here, saying, "PP has been balling. My fave tonight was him standing up to Lopez when he grabbed the contested rebound." And like I just mentioned and talked about it just in this topic, Payton Pritchard has been fantastic for the Boston Celtics at doing that, not in just this one game, throughout the whole season. And he's on a fantastic contract deal as well. I'm very ecstatic to see that. Jay Ward, I totally agree with you. Like I mentioned, if you guys want to be featured on the comment of the day, leave a fantastic comment down below. Like I also mentioned, we do the watch-along live streams now, so if you guys want to tune into that, we will have one tomorrow night versus the Detroit Pistons, as the Celtics will try to win 8 straight games. Without further ado, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.